Okay, so I mentioned earlier, or in an earlier video, that I already had a reinforced concrete haunch slab built in this model, and I was hoping that the Connect edition had solved this, but it hasn't. What I was trying to do, I covered deck constraints previously, and what I had tried to do with the haunch slabs was apply a parabolic transition start to finish of each of the, essentially for the bottom of the deck, or the thickness of the deck. So set my active bridge here. All right. Now that I've got an active bridge, so let me go to my variable constraints for my bridge deck, show you what I was talking about. I had defined a thickness left and a thickness right, and then a thickness at the working point, at profile grade. And I was trying to, now this is horribly exaggerated just so that it looks that way in the model. The final thickness of I started with a 9-inch deck, and the final thickness at the tip of the haunch was 4.5 feet centerline pier. However, let me show you how OpenBridge Modeler placed that here. So you can see that it did not do a stellar job. Essentially what it did was it placed it just fine at profile grade, and then it is perpendicular to profile grade at that station, both left and right. So when you look at it in 3D, it places it just fine at profile grade, but then it just finishes that thickness transition perpendicular to profile grade. Well, this bridge has a high skew to it, a decent skew to it. And so as you come up station here, it applied it dead across at both piers. And so that is not the way to do the top and bottom of deck. So what Stantec had pointed out was that I hadn't used the option yet because I hadn't had reason to just yet. But you'll remember when I was stretching the deck to a horizontal alignment, I used point control, and the one that I used was I located where my outside shoulder point was called. Here it's called left overhang. And I applied a horizontal constraint, or I wanted to go pick a horizontal alignment that I wanted that point to be drug over to. Well, you can also do a vertical point control. So what Stantec ended up doing was taking a copy of the profile grade into a separate file. And they named it as a bottom deck control or something like that. They copied that profile line, as well as their deck limits, bridge layouts. And then from that profile grade line, they found where the haunch would start. Of course, it would end at centerline of pier, where they defined a flat point across the thickness of the pier, defined it out to midspan, defined it to the next pier, and then defined it to the point where it would stop in the end span. And they did that at profile grade, at left fascia, right fascia. And then they offset that down from top of profile grade to the thickness of the uniform thickness of the haunch slab. And that was actually pretty brilliant. It was a good solution. Doing it that way, I believe, so it didn't do it perfectly, but the only reason that I think it didn't do it perfectly is because I have these definitions of thickness, thickness left, and thickness right in the template. If I did not have those as a variable constraint and they were not set at 9 inches thick, I actually think that it would just do it all the way across the deck. It wouldn't be trying to drag the bottom of the deck back up to that thickness that is defined. In a similar nature, and this is for further discussion for KDOT as well, among all you designers and techs up there, I would be very interested. It's not possible right now to very effectively place a corral rail with the posts. Very easy to extrude the end post on each end of the bridge and then extrude the rail portion from the end of end post to end of, or interior face of the end post to end post. You can extrude that corral rail portion of it, no problem, since the end post thickness is equal to the thickness of the corral rail. They're 1 foot, but then all the interior posts are 10-inch width. I am very curious if you could do the same thing that Stantec did with the haunch slab, defining a square wave. You would define an extrude a template that was 10 inches wide, have everything. I think you would have to keep all your corners as right corners, and then have the height defined from the chamfer of your bridge deck. You would define your 10-foot post here, have it be level, have it come down to whatever your cross slope of your bridge deck is. So you would define a shape like this, but essentially this point here would have a vertical and horizontal definition from this point here. This point would have a vertical and horizontal. So again, I think that you wouldn't be able to do this part here. Still trying to get used to the fact that OpenBridge Modeler does not allow shortcut keys. So what I'm saying is you would have a 10-inch corral rail post with this point defined as the working point. This point defined horizontally and vertically from your working point. This point is defined horizontally and vertically from this point. And I think you would need this point defined horizontally and sloped from this point here. It would be defined off of your working point. The key being that if you then drew a path, it was this kind of just a square wave function where it was 10 inches tall wherever you needed an interior post. You would select this point as your point control. You want to tie that to a vertical alignment, that everywhere it was here, it would be 0. And everywhere that it was here, it would be 10 inches tall. And I think you would have to put that right along where this point would connect in to your bridge deck. So essentially, all you would really have to do is along your bridge deck, select this line that's into and out of the page, copy that to a different file, move it up 3/4 of an inch, and then everywhere that you needed an interior post, step it up 10 inches, go over 3, step it back down. And I think that that might be the easiest way that you would be able to put in your 10-inch corral rail posts. But it's just a thought. Right now, again, I don't think that things are necessarily being used for quantity purposes on any of the 3D models. I think as things are refined a little bit and you can get into doing them that way, this is only going to help. I appreciate everybody, or I appreciate it if you've taken the time to watch the videos and learn about this. At any point, I am always willing to have a discussion about things that we've tried, things that have worked, things that have not worked, as the process goes further into the future. Very, very excited on how some of these things get worked out. So once again, thanks so much for watching, and hope to talk to you in the future about how to solve things. Thanks again.